good to have you on, Chris. And I'm excited to have this conversation to understand a bit more about your journey and AGPayroll. So maybe we'd kick off there with just letting people know a little bit about like what does your business do and who do you work with?
Yeah, so good to be here, Tristan. Thanks for having me, mate. We do payroll, UK payroll services. We payroll contractors. Majority of our clients are recruitment agencies in the UK, but we do work with some of the large construction and engineering companies as well. So I would say probably 80% of our clients are recruitment agencies, 20% is what we call end clients. So we provide CIS, umbrella, and limited company payroll services for contractors.
Nice one. And for anybody that's not too familiar with what does it actually entail in terms of the payroll services? What sort of things are you doing for clients?
Yeah, so if you get a contractor, for example, who gets a job through a recruitment agency, the recruitment agency's strength is getting them the job. Their strength isn't the payroll side of things. So they pass them on to a payroll company, hopefully ourselves, AGPayroll. So depending on what sector they work in, whether they're self-employed or not self-employed, what they do, how they do it, depends on the model that we'll put them down. So it all depends. Everything is worked around compliance. So we need to put them down the most compliant route. They always want to take home as much money as possible. But we have to make sure first and foremost they're doing it compliantly. So the agencies trust us to not only do the payroll, but also do the compliance and the due diligence side of things. Yeah.
Nice one. Love it. And I'm sure we'll get into it, but you've got some like juicy bits of tech that sit behind the scenes that make all this stuff work and really set you apart. So I'm sure we'll get into that. But before we do, I'd love to hear a bit more about your journey, Chris. So like how did you get to here? What's your like your founder journey so far?
It's probably a bit of an unusual journey. I've not sort of came through the Harvard Business School, if you like. I've came a different route. I started out as a lower league footballer in Scotland with a team called Albion Rovers. It's not quite Real Madrid. They're probably one of the, without being disrespectful, one of the sort of smaller teams in Scotland. But I did manage to get a full-time gig there when I was 21, which is everybody's, well, it was my dream anyway to play full-time football. So I thought I'd done my business degree. I was 21. I was about to go into the world of work. And then I was offered this job as a footballer. Don't get me wrong, the money wasn't great. I remember it was £150 a week, but I was still living at home with mum and dad, but I decided to go for it. But one of the things I'd said to the manager at the time was, I've got this business degree and all my pals are out getting jobs. So I don't really want to waste it. So they gave me a job as the club's commercial manager. So I would play football in the morning and I would sell the advertising, the program adverts, the trackside boards, the hospitality. I would sell that in the afternoon. So I got 20% of whatever I sold, which sounds great, sounds glamorous, but if you've ever seen Google Albion Rovers FC, Clifton Hill Stadium, it's probably 140 years old. It's never changed in 140 years old, 140 years. So trying to sell advertising and hospitality for there was quite difficult. But basically that gave me a springboard into business and sales, if you like. So 4 years down the line, I never quite made it as the next Peter Schmeichel. I decided it was time to go and get a real job. I went into recruitment, funnily enough, for a couple of years and played football part-time and got the real job full-time. 2 years in recruitment, my branch manager, her husband owned a payroll company and offered me a job as a business development manager. So that then got me into the payroll sector and I've been in there for 20 years. Got my opportunity probably 18 months ago to start my own business, and then I've just built it from there.
Incredible. Love that story. Love it. But you were a goalkeeper, right? Is it true what they say about goalkeepers? Absolutely bonkers.
Um, Probably, yeah. I don't think if you throw yourself in front of boots and dive about mad, I don't think you've got to be, you need to have a screw missing, I think.
And can you take some of that stuff into like diving headfirst into like the different challenges in business then? Does that correlate?
Yeah, I think what football gives you is that dressing room is brutal, and you deal with all sorts of personalities and temperaments, and you have to handle yourself in a dressing room. And I suppose it's the same in business. You have to deal with all different characters and sort of find your way. So, but I also think in football, there's no bullshit in football. Everybody calls a spade a spade. So that's the way I've took that approach into business. There's no sort of corporate bullshit with myself. It's like what you see is what you get. Yeah.
Love it. Love it. And so, what was the inspiration for taking the leap and starting AGPayroll? Because it is a pretty unique challenge, isn't it? Starting your own thing. What was it for you?
Um, but I suppose it got to a bit of a sliding doors moment. It wasn't planned, but I was involved in a company previously, which was an international payroll stroke UK payroll business.
Mm.
And they had headhunted me from Paystream, who are probably the biggest payroll company in the market. And to get me across, they gave me some shares in the business. But on paper, it was just shares. I wasn't involved in running the business or anything like that. There was two sort of major shareholders in the business. So it got to Christmas 2022, and one of the shareholders had invested in an Indian investment, and he'd made a significant amount of money, and came to me and the other guy at the time and said, "Look, guys, UK international payroll isn't for me." So he went into the wilderness with his bags of cash, and it was left for me and the other guy to decide what we're going to do. So his bag was international payroll, my bag was the UK payroll side of things. So he went his own way, and I went and set up in my business. So I suppose I was lucky in a way that the clients that I had previously were my clients from the last 20 years, but I didn't have any restrictive covenants or any sort of legal issues that come with going to a new business. So I could take these clients with me.
Mm.
And then that's it, 18 months ago, and fast forward, and things are, I'm a few more wrinkles and a few more greys around the side, but no, I've survived. Yeah.
Well, it's looking well on you so far, mate. So, tell us a bit more about AG Payroll in terms of like what's your mission and how do you make a positive difference for your clients?
Yeah. So there's three, because I work with these bigger companies. I know what good looks like, but I also know where the gaps were in the sort of payroll sector. So the last 12 months, I've just made sure that if anybody comes to me with a payroll query or I'm greedy. So if somebody comes to me with business, I don't want to say no. So I made sure that we had the services in place to make sure that we could do all the business, but I wanted to make sure that the service was good. So there's three areas we've looked at: is service, technology, and compliance. On the technology side of things, you touched on earlier on, we've worked on developing our own app.
Mm.
So the contractors get access to their own app where they can see all their pay slips on the app, they can see all their bank details, their pension details, etc. They can also onboard through the app. It's got ID verification on there. So it just streamlines the process where rather than somebody being working, we have to phone them, take 25 minutes out of their day. We send them a link. They can sit on the couch at night watching whatever they're watching and then just sit and do it all. Take a photograph of their passport and they set up in their own time at night. So that's been a bit of a game changer for ourselves. The agencies also get access to their own portal. So they get access to all our information, so they can see all the pay slips. They get access to all the key information documents, the right to work, etc. So from an agency point of view, we're taking away a lot of the legwork for them, because we're basically their compliance team in the background doing all that due diligence. The compliance side of things is massive. There's so much. I suppose in every industry, there's cowboys. There's people that do it right, and there's people that don't do it right. So the one thing I said from the start is, I want to be able to sleep at night. I don't want to be sitting there waiting on that dreaded chap on the door from HMRC. You're not doing this. So one of the things I looked at straight away was getting us SafeRec certified. And what SafeRec does is it integrates with our payroll software, and it also integrates with our HMRC government gateway. So the payroll software integration makes sure that every deduction that we are making every week is fully compliant, but it also makes sure that I'm paying all my tax and NI to HMRC. So every agency we work with gets a report every month that says that all of their payments and all their deductions is fully compliant, and it guarantees that compliance. So basically, it's all right me sitting telling an agency I've known them for 20 years that everything's all great and everything's fully compliant, but that's an independent report that they get, this document every month. What some of them do is actually share that with their clients to go and try and win business, because they're saying, look, we're going above and beyond and doing this on the compliance side of things. And then service, everything's all about service. So the people that I've brought into the business, I wanted to make sure not only did they have personality, but also they were knowledgeable in what they were talking about. So yeah, that's been the three main areas: compliance, technology, and service. So I'm actually, don't get me wrong, it's been an absolute roller coaster to get the right people in the business. I'm sure anybody that's starting a business will tell you that, but I've got a really good, solid team now, so I'm quite happy where we're up to.
I love that. One of the things we often talk about with Unbound members, because we predominantly deal with small businesses, is like, often as a small business, you're trying to make yourself to look bigger to the outside world. We want to look massive, but like being small and having that relationship with your clients as the owner or founder is like, it's a superpower, really. It's so important. But I love what you've done here, that, you know, you've got this advantage of being small, but it sounds like very early on in your journey, you've also locked in sort of like technology and compliance, where these sort of like operations processes and also some of this like cool features, often they're some of the things that you sacrifice with dealing with a small business. Is that something you started out thinking, I need these features, or is that something that you spotted an opportunity along the way and bolted them on?
No, I sort of had that in my head from the start. I knew what foundations you needed to be a good payroll company, and I knew that they were the areas that I had to sort of put in place. But that's not a quick process. It takes, like SafeRec, for example, took me 9 months to get over the line. The technology took roughly the same. So you have to go through that journey, and every day you have to do a bit of graft and do some work on it, because there's a lot of work that went behind it. But I suppose I had my main aim was to basically get the base of clients that I had from the previous company. The main aim was to basically make sure they were happy and they were getting a good service. Along the line of those 12 months, I actually got offered 2 major projects, 500 plus contractors each. So that's like game-changing numbers. But I knew we weren't ready. I knew the technology wasn't in place. I knew that the team wasn't in place. So I actually turned them down and walked away from it. Because I could be your best mate, Tristan, but if you give me an opportunity and I don't pay your guys, you're going to say, right, Chris, all the best, we'll meet for a pint on a Saturday, but I'm going to use someone else to pay them if I don't do a good job. So I wanted to make sure the machine in the background was working before I took on these projects. So now the machine's ready. So this year, without putting pressure on myself and my business development team, the plan is to double the numbers in the next 12 months, because I know that we can double those numbers with the automation that's in place, with the technology, and I wouldn't need to grow the numbers in the team massively on the back of that. So
Super interesting.
That's the, that's the plan anyway, mate. So we'll see how it goes.
I love it. So, because it's not easy, is it, to say no, especially in those early days, especially to like big contracts. How was that decision for you?
Difficult, mate, because you sit down like anyone. I don't know about you, but a big opportunity comes in, I get the calculator out and I start looking at the numbers, and the numbers look very interesting. But you just have to you have to put your sort of reality, you put yourself in reality and say, like, we're not ready for that,
Mm,
because it's like that opportunity might be there in 12 months' time whenever we are ready to go, whenever the machine is in place.
mm,
All you're going to do ultimately, if I'd have took that on there and then, is I would have bumped that opportunity, but I would have also have bumped my reputation. And
mm,
my reputation, without blowing smoke up my backside, is I think I have got quite a good reputation in the industry. So you want to make sure that if I say I'm going to give you a good service, that you do deliver that good service. Yeah.
100%. Yeah. I mean, we talk about it quite a lot in like in B2B service businesses. Like the thing that you can't forget about if you're going to grow is like delivering the service, and a fantastic service is like the best sales and marketing strategy you can have in the world, isn't it? Because, you know, in this game, you're building long-term reputations, and yeah, it's great that you've got that at the forefront of your mind. And yeah, I can see already, I know what a great reputation that you've got in the industry. So fantastic to see, Chris.
Yeah. No, I think, and that's what you touched on there, the sort of the relationships. That's where I want to differentiate myself, because without again being that, I don't like bad mouthing anyone in the industry, but there's different ways of doing things. And working with the big boys, there's a lot of them, the way they win business is bringing bags of donuts in, taking them out for Jaeger bombs. And I've done all that in my days. But the way I want to differentiate myself is by being partners with agencies and adding that expertise, where if you need advice, you're a business owner and you need advice on what model to put contractors down for this project, or what legislation might affect that project, or basically you can become a business advisor for them rather than just who brings in the biggest bag of donuts and
Yeah.
who buys the most Jaeger bombs. So that's the way I wanted to build it. I want to work in partnership with agencies rather than, I don't want to get me wrong, I quite enjoy a Jaeger bomb now and again, but I'm getting
When you were saying you had a different plan, I thought you were going to say instead of Jaeger bombs, you were going to be bringing out the Buckfast.
no, I think I told you a story at the weekend. I was out celebrating the football, and my friend got me onto pints of Venom. So I soon realised that my days of drinking those cocktails are over. It's in a horrible state of Saturday night, but that's another story.
So you mentioned it hasn't all been plain sailing so far, a bit of a roller coaster. What tell me a bit about that? What's the what has been some of the ups first of all, maybe? What have been some of the moments that you've been really proud of in the business so far?
You got me thinking there when you mentioned Buckfast. I'll jump back right before we go into that. But when I was the commercial manager at Albion Rovers, I don't know if you know, but Buckfast is a tonic wine which is very, very strong. I think you call it fortified wine. So if you drink a bottle of Buckfast, you know about it. But at the time, 80% of Buckfast was drank in Coatbridge, which is where Albion Rovers are from. So with my commercial head on, I phoned up Buckfast Abbey, and I'd agreed a sponsorship for Buckfast to sponsor Albion Rovers. But also about 90% of the people in Coatbridge support Celtic as well as Albion Rovers. So I was going to make the away strip green and white hoops with Buckfast across the front of it. And honestly, that strip would have went through the roof. That would have sold worldwide. I still say that this day, that's my biggest loss in business, is not getting that strip out there. But one of the local MPs got wind of it, and it soon got kibosh. So so you brought me back to Buckfast there, but that's probably my biggest loss in business, is not producing that strip.
Well, if that local politician's watching now, then no good, no good. But early signs of your entrepreneurial career to come there, I think. Love it, love it. And what about in AGPayroll? What are some of the things that you've been proud of on the journey so far?
I suppose just overall is the team I've got now. So I'm really sort of proud of the team I've got now. I've got some. I suppose the biggest testament to that is the way I built the team just now is I could go and take a week off, and the service wouldn't drop. And in the first 12 months, I was the be all and end all of the business. Everything ran through me, and if I wasn't here, then the machine would stop. So now I've built the team where I could take a week off, and the guys would be able to run the business, no problem. So I'm proud of that. We've been nominated for a payroll of the year award, which is unbelievable. So I'm going down to London at the end of June, it's called the Tiaras Award, which is it's for the payroll company of the year 2024. So it's you're not in it for accolades like that, but it's just a bit of a testament to the sort of good work, and good to see that people are recognising what you're doing. So, but now I'm in it, I want to win it. So we're down there at the end of June, so we'll see how that goes. No, just ultimately, just I'm proud of. I know how much hard work I've put into it, and in the first 18 months, and I'm proud of where we are just now. So I know there's a lot more hard work ahead, but I suppose I got into the business and I thought, as a sales guy, I knew everything about payroll, and it turns out that I didn't know as much as what I thought I did. So I had to actually get the sleeves rolled up and actually run payroll. I had to get on the phones and do customer service. I had to get stuck into contracts and talk about insurances and everything. So that's the way I learn, is by actually getting the sleeves up and actually doing the job. So no, I suppose I'm proud of where we've came to. Yeah,
love it, love it. I can remember in my first business that the moment where I was when I almost like realized, actually, wow, we've like got a proper business now, because I've booked a week off and I'm on holiday and I'm not doing anything and there's stuff happening without me here. It was like a really surreal feeling, almost like I'm not a father, but yet, but I could imagine almost that would be like that feeling, like, wow, my baby, I'm so proud of it. Look at what they're doing. So what was it like for you?
I remember it was about a month ago. I had a week off, and we got to the first day, and it was like 1 o'clock in the first day, and nobody had phoned me. And I ended up phoning back in the office, just saying, "Everyone all right?" They're like, "I am." Nobody spoke to me. I'm like, "It's all right, we're dealing with it." So no, it was just, and then I was just like, right, step back and let everybody get on with it. So it's because, yeah, as I said before, you're the be all and end all at the start of your business. I think you have to be. Well, I had to be anyway. But when you get people in that can do the job, then it's a real sense of relief.
Cracking. Well, wish you best of luck at the awards. What about some of the biggest challenge or like the lessons that have come so far after 18 months?
I suppose two things. I've I've realised the power of outsourcing certain parts or certain skills within the business. So I outsource the accountancy side of things. I outsource the social media side of things. I outsource the IT side of things. And where I've worked previously, there was always an IT department, a marketing department, and that would be big money to get an IT expert sitting there all the time, or a marketing expert sitting there all the time. I think as a new business, you don't have first of all, you don't have the funds. And secondly, you don't have the work basically to keep these guys going Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. So I've realised the value in outsourcing some of those things. And also the journey of trying to get the right people and the right team in has been quite interesting, because particularly around the payroll manager role, I had a run about 6 months where it took over my life, where I had 4 different people in, and every story you can imagine, they come up with these other people that were in. So that was very time consuming and emotional, but I've managed to get the right person in now. So I suppose it's making sure you've got the right staff in, but that's easier said than done.
Definitely. Yeah, they're getting the right bums in on the right seats is such a big piece of the puzzle, isn't it? Any lessons that or key takeaways that you've got there of like how to do that?
Just do your due diligence. Do a lot of background checks, and probably meet with them at least 3 times. So the problem I had, I met with someone once, and then I'd done a bit of due diligence, and then I gave them the job. I think if I let the I know I was desperate to get someone in, but in hindsight, I should have met them a couple more times and done a bit more due diligence. Let it sort of the thought process coming at my thought process, what they were actually like. But I was that desperate to get someone in the job that I took what they were like from their CV. One in particular looked absolutely fantastic, probably the best CV I've ever had, but I didn't do a lot on the due diligence side of things into their background, which I should have, and it came back and bit me. So yeah, just meet with them at least 3 times, I would say, in a professional and in a sort of non-professional, like meeting them for a coffee, talking about their interests and their hobbies as well, because you work with these people every day. You need to know what they're like as personalities as well. So that's what
Love that. If you look back on those hires in hindsight, was there any sort of like of your intuition that said, I'm not sure about this one? Because for me, I think every person I've always been on the fence with has just never worked out for me. And that's not to say they're not a good person, but probably just not the right fit to work for me or in my businesses. But
no, you're bang on, mate. It goes back to I had doubts about all of them. I was desperate to get someone in to do the job, and it's your gut feeling. Always trust your gut. So no, I did have doubts with all of them, but I just I thought I could change them.
Yeah,
but no, it's not a good approach to have, and I've learned my lesson the hard way. Yeah.
It's tough when they're wolves at the door and you wanted to get those tasks off your plate, isn't it? But yeah, my experience, it's always better to wait for a fuck yes when it comes to a hire for sure. Yeah. What's next other than cleaning up at the award ceremony for the business?
No, this year's all about business development and driving those numbers. As I said, we've got the machine in place in the background, so I've stepped away from the business development sort of sales side of things for the last 18 months because I've been purely operational, just making sure that machine was built in the background. Now I'm starting to get my sales hat back on, and I'm getting out there, trying to get those numbers back up again. I brought in a really good business development guy who's based in Birmingham, Chester Booth, who's believe it or not, Chester's been in the game longer than me. He's an old head, but he's very well networked and very well liked in the payroll industry. So between myself and Chester, we'll just be using our network to get out there and trying to grow the numbers this year, mate.
Nice, exciting.
Yeah.
And if anyone's got any questions about payroll or how it works or want some support, what's the best way for people to get in touch with you?
I suppose it's. I mean, I've what we do is UK payroll, but I've got experience in international payroll as well. So I'm happy to give people advice on that as well. Everyone seems to be trying to get into America just now. That seems to be the sexy area that everyone thinks they want a piece of because they see the big margins, but it's a lot more difficult than what it might seem on the outset. So, but if anybody wants any help on the UK payroll side of things or any advice, then they can either message me on LinkedIn or drop me an email at chris@agpayroll.co.uk. More than happy to have a chat.
Mega. Well, I know you've added loads of value in the Unbound groups by answering people's questions and sharing stuff because it's good to have a bit of understanding of what some of the challenges are, particularly if you're going into a new market like the US. I know you've been super helpful with that stuff in the group, so I appreciate you, mate.
Yeah. No, listen, mate, I touch on the Unbound stuff without, again, being too soppy here, but yourself and Rich have been fantastic. I've joined the group probably only 3 or 4 weeks ago, but it's absolutely blew my mind how good it's been. Started off down at Leeds at the day you had down there, and obviously yourself and Rich took us through a few different topics and had some even more famous footballers than me were there, Tony Dorigo, which was interesting to hear him and get to speak to him. But not just you guys and the speakers, which were great as well, but to go and meet these business owners that have basically went through the same journey as what I have and the same emotions has been really interesting. And we're talking about people that not just recruitment agencies, marketing agencies, all sorts of different areas, but we've all went through the same sort of challenges. So I think just having that network of people, because they say it's tough it's lonely at the top, is it? Or is it, without being too soppy about it. But when you are running a business, you don't really have anybody to bounce off. I don't have a board of directors or anything. It's me, 100% me. So to have people that own businesses that have got similar experiences to bounce things off has been brilliant. And you guys have been great. So if anybody wants any support out there, then I can more than I'd love to recommend you guys. You've been great.
I appreciate that, mate. Appreciate that. So what's your early impressions then? What sort of business owner or founder do you think would be a good fit for Unbound, or who do you think wouldn't be?
I think it is that new start business owner who is doing everything themselves and they don't have that support network. And it's just to bounce those questions off and those just to sort of vent some issues with them. Because you're not the only one that's going through that. Everyone else within the group is either going through that at the moment, so it's good to share things, or they've been through that and they can give you advice. So I would say it's just ideal for people that are starting or just within their first year or two on their journey. Yeah. I don't think it would be the right option maybe for someone who's with a large organisation who've got like a board of directors and they've got lots of people in there to bounce things off. But it's more for your sort of new start businesses, I would say.
Yeah, great stuff. Appreciate that, mate. Yeah, I mean, basically we've built what me and Rich wish we'd had at the start of our journey, and so that's great to hear that you're loving it so far, and we're definitely enjoying you being part of the group, adding your banter, your camaraderie, and your expertise as well, because that's one of the things that we've loved seeing about the Unbound network is just the way that you guys, sharing each other's learning as well, that peer-to-peer support, and picking up some wins along the way.
No, definitely, and that's the thing that I like about it. The way I am as a person and the way I run my business is it's not too serious. The way that you and Rich talk is you don't call a spade, you call it an effing spade. But also in the groups, there's loads of banter in the groups, you get a laugh. So it's not just all about work, there's a bit of banter in there as well that can help as well. So no, I enjoy that side of it, mate.
Good stuff. Appreciate it. Well, it's been great chatting with you, Chris, and really appreciate your time. And I can't wait to see what the next 18 months is going to have in store for you and AGPayroll. Exciting stuff, mate.
That's your time, mate.